Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about Champions of Midgard, designed by Ole Steinus from Grey Fox Games, but also the Valhalla and Dark Mountain expansions. And because we are talking about so many different things, this is going to be a very high level overview of the game. Also, you notice I have the game set up kind of sideways because, well, it's pretty big and you can only see about half of the two expansion boards over here, but I'll bring those on as I talk about them. And so what this is a worker placement Euro-style game with combat, which will use these Viking warriors that you're going to be drafting to fight the monsters over here, and then also over there. And as you're using those warriors, they will be fighting and dying, and things will happen by them fighting and dying. But as I said, the bulk of this is going to be worker placement and a basic Euro-style economy. And in this game, you are taking on various Viking tribes, seeking the most glory. And you're going to get that glory by fighting the Draugr, by fighting the trolls, by fighting the monsters, and then by fighting other things in the Dark Mountains, and of course, going to Valhalla. And now with that said, if you're not interested in how this game is played and so I'll jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. And last thing I'll say is thank you to Grey Fox Games, who was kind enough to send me both of the expansions a little while ago, though the core game I got on my own. And I do apologize if you hear Snug the cat whining and crying because she's decided she wants dinner early. Now, anyhow, what's going to be happening is you're going to play this game over 8 rounds, and whoever finishes the game with the most points will be the winner. And as I said, you'll be placing your workers out onto the board in these various spots and utilizing those actions and using that to accomplish your goals at the end of the game. The bulk of your points, as I mentioned, are going to come from fighting things and from these legend cards right here, which are going to give you points for which are basically like contracts you need to fulfill, though they are secret contracts. For example, this is having the most blame at the end of the game is going to get you 4 points, or if you're tied, it'll get you 2 points. And everyone's going to start the game with one of those, and you'll be able to draw them as well. Now for now, I'm just going to talk about the core game right here. At its core, as I said, you'll be placing your workers out and doing different things. Most of them are going to be common Euro things that you're used to, like this here, spend money to get various resources. Over here, you can spend money to get another worker. Over here, when you go here, you'll simply be able to get another basic core fighter. And again, I'll talk about fighting in just a bit. Here, you're going to get food, coin, or wood. Here, you'll get all the swordsmen that are here. You'll get all the spearmen that are here. You'll get all of the warriors that are here, and down here you're going to be getting food. Now additionally, each game there's going to be a variety of special buildings that are going to be out there. Over here, this is the beggar action. This is always an action that you're able to take, and you'll simply get a resource for that. And again, these are worker placement spots, which will let you do different things. You can come right here to the Skald and get 2 glory, etc., etc. There's also going to be the merchant ships over here, and these are going to change round by round, which are going to offer you different things that you're able to purchase. In this case here, a coin gets you a food and an archer, which is one of the expansion warriors you're able to get. As you come up and over here, you'll be able to get different runes. Over here, you'll be able to buy your own private ships, which are right here, and I'll talk about how ships work, but depending on the player count, there's a variety of different ships that you're able to buy. And of course, there's also always 2 public ships, so you're always able to send a worker there, and then you'll be able to send that off to fight in one of the places. And again, I'll talk about how that works in just a minute. Up here, you'll be able to go hunting, which will mean you'll pick however many warriors you want. You'll roll their dice and get X amount of food for that. And then you can fight the troll. And it's important to note that you have to fight the troll every round. And if you don't fight the troll, you'll receive blame. And blame's going to probably end up costing you points at the end of the game. And then over here, there are 2 different Draugr, and they are basically always going to be the same. You'll have to fight them, and you'll get a little bit of glory and a little bit of reward for fighting them. Now, I've talked a lot about fighting and things you're going to have to do, and so let's talk about how that works. So I already mentioned you can do the fighting up here, but I'll talk about this over here as well. When you choose to take one of the long ships, you'll see it has a capacity of 5. And what I can put on there is I can put both warriors and I can put food. So in this case, I've decided to put 2 food and 3 warriors. Then it's going to sail on over to whichever thing I decide I want to fight. So in this case, I've decided I want to fight this lindworm right here, and I'll sail over here. When it comes time to fight, I'll flip over this journey card here, and this tells me in this case I'm going to lose one of my warriors, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I've lost my red spearman right there. And it's a little hard to see, but then it's going to tell me right here that one food will feed 2 of my warriors. So I'd spend 1 food, and these 2 warriors will be able to fight. Now let's talk about how the combat works. So in this case, what we see is it's going to do 2 damage to me, and I need to do 3 damage to it to beat it. So I would take my warriors here, and I would roll them, and I see what I get. Now in this case, I've done absolutely nothing. So I could spend one of my horns here and would allow me to do a reroll. And so I reroll, and let's just say I rolled this here. You see I have 1, 2, 3 damage, which would be enough to kill it. But if we look down here, we'll see that this cannot be affected by axes. So my choice of letting this one be killed would have been a bad choice. So we'll just pretend instead that I chose this one here. And so now I would have done 3 damage. I would have defeated it. My reward would be 14 glory, and that horn that I spent, I would get back. And then both of these would be killed. Now I'm going to shift into and talk about one of the expansions, the Valhalla expansion. Because even though I killed it, I still would be taking 2 damage and both of these would be killed. Had I rolled a shield, I would have blocked one of those damage. But in this case, they've both been killed, and I would take these 2 tokens in addition to my reward right here. Now let's talk about what I might use those for. So if we look over here at the Dark Mountains board, we'll see there's various ways I can spend these tokens. I can spend any 2 and gain a glory, or I could spend any 3 of my tokens there, like so, to get any die that I want. Now, you'll notice I just put out a new die. In fact, there are 3 new dice that are offered across the 2 expansions. There are the archers, which are very good, or will almost always do damage, and can potentially get you more food when you go hunting. There are the berserkers, which do a ton of damage, but are always the first ones to be hurt. And then you have the warriors that can potentially do both damage and have a shield. Now, as I said, you can do that over there, or you can gain any of these blessings here. And by doing that, you simply would spend your items, and you get the reward. So in this case, you're getting a point, and you're getting a yellow and a pink die. The other thing you can do is you can fight these monsters up here, again, using all of the symbols there, and you're getting in-game scoring bonuses. The other thing that you can do is you can go fight these giants with the Dark Mountains expansion. And in those, it operates exactly like the other combat, except you don't have to take a ship. Instead, you just send your worker here, and then you're going to be able to send your people to fight up here. And so in this case, the thief hits, and I'd lose a coin, but then I'd be able to fight this monster there. And again, you'll see that I can't use archers on him, but if I do defeat him, I would get 7 glory and a single archer. And you'll see there's a whole deck with a wide variety of different kinds of monsters right here that you're going to be able to fight as you fight these giants in the mountains. The last thing I'll point out is when you're using the expansions, you get access to a leader. And so my leader right here is telling me 2 different things. One, I have the power of, I gain 2 glory whenever I spend one of my horns here to do a reroll. And I also have this power down here. When you play with the leaders, you're going to have a single leader die, and you're always allowed to roll that in combat. It might be a hit, it might be nothing, or it might be the symbol here, which in this case is the battle prayer, which would, in my case, give me another one of those. I'll also point out that this here is telling you that you can only have a max of 8 dice of warriors ready to go at any given time. Then at the end of the game, you're going to total up all of the points you've scored during the game for combat. You'll get points for set collection, that being having 3 different colors, the blue, the yellow, and the red. For each set of those, you're going to get points. You'll get points for leftover coins, and if you're using the expansions, you're going to get points for the big monsters that you might fight, as well as your secret objective goals right here. And that is the very, very high level overview of how this game works. So with that said, what do I like about this game? The first thing is the core mechanics of kind of building up this army of your Vikings. You're going to send them off, and maybe they die, maybe they don't, maybe they succeed, maybe they don't. I really like it. It is shockingly fun. And even though there's a lot of chance that goes with it, as you know, you're rolling these dice, it's so satisfying as I'm imagining these Vikings going out, they're fighting, and you know, maybe they had too much mead the night before and they just crap the bed and they get slaughtered by this troll, and then that's it. That's what happens. But every single time is very, very satisfying the way that works, and along with that, when you start adding in the expansions, it becomes even more satisfying because there's more monsters and stuff that you get to fight. But the addition of the Valhalla expansion is brilliant. Just brilliant. Because even when your Vikings die in combat, you're getting something for them. And sometimes you get to use these now dead Vikings, and maybe you won the fight, to go off and then they fight some monster in Valhalla as well. So they get to fight and then fight again, and it just is so good. Also, because what it's doing is it's taking your potentially bad result of losing this fight, losing all your Vikings, and it turns it into something positive. Or it takes your good result of how you won, but you still lose a few Vikings anyway, and makes it even better. It's just a brilliant, brilliant expansion be added into the game. It's very simple, and I just love the way that it works. I also think the Dark Mountains expansion is fun with the addition of the Vikings and that journey. You don't have to get the boat and send it. You just kind of send your guys, and they go through the journey and something happens. I think that's actually particularly satisfying as well. I also think that and I don't know which expansion it comes with, but the player powers that you get for your leaders, and the leaders is very, very good as well. Usually I like individual player powers that are overpowered, so everybody's really overpowered in some way. This is not that. This is a little more ancillary, and you're going to do a thing, and you have your leader that you're going to be able to roll another die, and that's all well and good. But it's just interesting enough that sometimes it makes you make a different choice based on the leader that you have, and I really do appreciate the way that works. I love the way that, I already briefly mentioned, but I like the sailing off. You're going to sail off and you're going to deal with one of these monsters somewhere out there, and depending on what you've done, you know exactly what you're facing, or you don't know exactly what you're facing. And it's that really interesting push and pull of, do I want to spend an action to kind of scout out what's there, or do I just want to risk it, or whatever it may be. And I just think that works so very well. But then when you kind of bring it all back away from the combat and the rolling of the dice and chucking dice, you know I love chucking dice, it's just the core Euro game is really solid. It's quick, it's simple to understand, but there's constant changes with the different tiles you put out there, so it's always a little bit different, and it just is a tight, clean Euro experience. And then you add all this other stuff on top of it, which I think is just really good. So all in all, I'm saying, to my shame, I did not play this for a very, very long time. I was given, for the Board Game Geek Secret Santa, the core game one year, and I didn't play it. And then I actually had some extra credits in the Grey Fox Pledge Manager, which they'd given me for covering one of the games. And so I was able to turn that into these two expansions. And it's a classic for a reason. It is, to my shame, it took me this long to play it, and it's one that I wish I had on the table right now. I don't, because I'm covering a ton of stuff right now, but I really wish I was playing it again right now. It is very, very fun and very, very good in my opinion. But what are my quibbles with the game? First one is, as I alluded to, you really need at least the Valhalla expansion in the game. I think you could put both of them in the game, quite frankly, but you at least need the Valhalla. That just takes the game from a game that's fine and fun to a game that is very fun. So there is a necessary expansion that comes with it. The next thing I'm going to say is, again, this doesn't bother me at all, but as you know, I like to point out things that might bother you, and we have dice in a Euro game. Yeah, you're going to be getting dice, you're going to be chucking dice, and it can go bad. You can chuck all these dice and get nothing. You can spend one of your horns and roll them all again and get nothing. It's a dice game. It can happen. But again, I know some people, when you're looking at, well, I only have 8 rounds to play and only 32 actions or whatever it's going to come out to be, and having one action get me nothing is just a terrible feeling, so okay, whatever. But there are dice in this game, and those dice are how you're going to be getting most of your points. Now I'm going to jump into some of the stuff that's probably going to make Lance Meister over at Grey Fox all mad at me. Because you can't do anything about this. And the first thing is, I think the game needs a solo. And I think that is partially a testament to the age of the game. It's a 10-year-old game, and it's been the past 4 or 5 years that pretty much every Euro game has some kind of solo mode. We can thank the pandemic for that, but I think this game really screams for a solo mode, and I do know that there is going to be one. I have not played it yet. I'm hoping that Gray Fox will send me the solo rules or whatever, so maybe I can give it a try and I can talk about it when they have their next campaign up in a week or so, or maybe this week, I'm not quite sure, but I'd love to give it a try. So I know there is going to be one. I don't know how good it is, I don't know how well it works, I don't know if you can add it to a 2-player game and get 3 players, I don't know any of those things, but I think it definitely needs a solo. But the big thing here is it just needs a glow up. Just everything about it is fine. Again, it's a 10-year-old game, and so the cardboard pieces are fine, the cards are fine, the art is fine, just everything is, say it with me, fine. And Kickstarter games have become so fancy nowadays, with you have metal coins or acrylics or screen printed meeples and dual layer boards and linen finished cards, and I don't know exactly what all is going to be in the 10th anniversary edition. I know there's a lot of those things. There might be all of those things I just mentioned. I don't know, but it really needs it to the point to where, oh, I hate to say something like this, but I think I would, instead of getting a used copy, I would be like, you know what, I'm going to throw down for this 10th anniversary edition that's coming out, because it's going to have the new art, and I've been sent a few images of the new art. It's the same artist, just updated the art so it's a little bit more modern. And I know there's going to be like 3D boats, and Gray Fox actually tried to send me some, but it didn't get here in time. Though if I do get to circle back and talk about the solo, I'll be able to show some of those on screen. So there's going to be like some 3D boats, and I assume a better insert, and just all of those things that's going to make this game have the table presence and the components that I think a game of its quality deserves. So there you have it, folks. As I said at the beginning, I think this game is a classic game for a reason. It is so much more fun than I thought it was going to be, and it plays so much faster than I thought it was going to play. And I really, really, really like this game, and I think it's one that chase down a copy if you can, but if you don't mind waiting, I think go in for this 10th anniversary all-in FOMO version. I don't know what it's going to be called, but it's going to have a lot of nice stuff, and I think this game deserves it. So, there you have it, folks. As always, if I've made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.